We would now like to introduce Hayg Oshagan, former ARF Bureau member, ARF Eastern Region Centennial Committee member, and co-chair of the Greater Detroit New Armenian Community Center Developing Committee, will deliver the ARF's message.
Ուզեմ հրավիրել ընկեր Hayg Օշագանը, նախկին բյուրոյի և կենտրոնական կոմիտեի անդամ, փոխանցելու այսօրվա պատգամը։
Հայ հաղթողական դաշնակցության Արևելյան շրջանի կենտրոնական կոմիտեի ներկայացուցիչ, Ազատամարդ կոմիտեի ներկայացուցիչ, ներկայացուցիչներ ՀՕՄ-ի մասնաճյուղերու, միջվարչության, համազգայինի, կոմենտմենի, AYF-ի և վերհայր և վերաբադվելի և մեր բոլոր համագիրներ տարի եկած մեր լուսակցության 124 ամյակի դոնագդարության։ I will give my comments in English and keep them brief for you, but this is a day for us as an organization to look back and think of what have we done and where has the place of the ARF been. You know, the purpose of the ARF is singular. There is only one cause that the ARF struggles for, and that is for the perseverance and safety of the Armenian nation. The only cause for the ARF is the survival of the nation. And the nation is not in one place, is not within only one border. The nation is the us. Հայ ասկի համար գվայքարի ուսակցություն. This has meant different things over the years. In the 1890s, it meant something different. In 19, 18, and 20, in those years, it made something different. In the 1950s, it had a different meaning, and since 1990, it's meant something different as well. Today, it means that in Armenia, we struggle for a united Armenia. We struggle for the lands that we have lost, and we struggle for a secure Armenia. And in the diaspora, it means, as it has always meant, to create the conditions for the Armenian nation to survive. And so on this day, we look back and think of what the Tashkent has done. In Armenia, it's been a busy year. It's been a busy few years, actually, and it's been a difficult few years. We try to do two things in Armenia, primarily. One is to create a civil society, to encourage democracy, to create engagement in the population in what goes on in Armenia. It's not easy to create civil society. We take it for granted in the United States and in European countries, but it's a difficult thing to achieve. The biggest issue right now in terms of Armenian society is the depopulation of Armenia, emigration from Armenia. 3/4 of all Armenians live outside of Armenia. And it is a special issue for Hayastan because those leaving are usually younger people, people who have capacity and capability and who take their talents elsewhere. We have worked hard to find ways of keeping and improving the conditions in Armenia. We have built youth centers, and this community has actually helped in building a youth center in Harastan. We have educational programs, we have internships, we have think tanks. We have tried to address issues of poverty, of hunger, healthcare, banking, retirement, taxes, education, jobs, crime, housing. It's not easy to do this in a country like Armenia. But that is our challenge for the ARF in Armenia. The second issue we face in Armenia is the political system. We want to create a system that is fair and responsive to its population, that is elected without corruption. And for that, we have struggled. We have been the leaders in fighting against corruption. We have been the leaders in stopping the protocols between Armenia and Turkey. We have recently formed an alliance with 3 other political parties to create a stronger voice and larger numbers in parliament. And with the parties that we have an alliance with, recently we forced the government to reorganize itself for a new minister as well to come to power. Currently, we are backing the proposal in Armenia to move to a strong parliamentary system as opposed to a strong presidential system. We feel that a strong parliamentary system, government, will be a more responsive and fairer way of running the nation. Nearby in Artsakh, our challenges are of a different sort, but just as heavy. In Artsakh, we want a peaceful resolution to the conflict with Azerbaijan. We want international recognition for Artsakh. We want security for Artsakh and Armenia to be the guarantor of that security. We want a military pact between Armenia and Artsakh. And we want Artsakh to be a partner in the negotiations about its own fate. We have worked hard on these political goals. We have also worked hard to repopulate Artsakh, to develop the economy of Artsakh in its various forms. If you've ever been to Artsakh, it's a beautiful place of mountains and valleys and greenery, but there aren't that many people in Artsakh. And for the security of the region, we need to find ways to have it be repopulated. And also next door, we have a crisis in Javakh. Javakh is the Armenian region in Georgia. It has been depopulated recently as well because of the pressures of the Georgian government, the oppression and fear that the Georgian government has created for our Javakh population. We have worked hard in Javakh to create youth centers, to keep Armenians there, to teach Armenian. We have 250 kids in each of the youth centers we have in Javakh. We teach their language and literature and history and dance. We have worked hard with our Hayg offices to find ways to put pressure on Georgia to allow the Armenians in Javakh to live in peace. And we have worked hard through the USAID to transfer monies and funds to Javakh to help the economic development of the region. To do this work, we have developed international offices around the world. We have offices, Hayg offices in Washington, D.C., and I'll talk a bit more about the Washington, D.C. office and what it does. We have a Hayg office in Brussels to work with the European Union in particular. We have an office in Moscow. The Moscow office is our connection to the nearly 1 million Armenians who now live in Moscow. And it is our official connection with the government in Moscow, the Duma. Moscow is an important player in that region, and especially in Armenia. We have an office in the Middle East, in Beirut, to deal with the Arab and Muslim world. We have an office in Tiflis, Georgia, to help deal with the issues in Georgia. And we have a central office in Yerevan as well. We have recently opened an office to study what goes on in Turkey. We read all the newspapers that are published in Turkey to keep track of what happens over there. We meet regularly with scholars and politicians from Turkey who see the world the way we do. We have a center for study of Western Armenians. You probably have heard of Armenians who were forcibly converted to Islam in Western Armenia. There's a substantial number of Armenians in Western Armenia who have been Islamicized, and the office is meant to catalog, to create databases, to make connections, and to find ways to bring them back to our nation. And we have the Hrar Manukyan Center in Armenia, devoted to doing work on analysis and think tank to help us find our ways to go. And then there's the diaspora, where the ARF has been for all these years. We are in over 20 different countries around the world. We are in a number of parliaments as well and other government organizations and entities. Our crisis in the diaspora right now is Syria. All regions around the world have been put to the task for raising funds and helping Syrian Armenians. We have worked with the Catholicosate of Cilicia to raise over $3 million for Syrian Armenians. In Armenia, we created Oknir Yechporet program, Help Your Brother, to campaign for food and medication to Syria. We have sent plane loads of food and medicine from Armenia to Syria through that program. And we have helped the government in Armenia with housing, healthcare, schooling, and work for Syrian Armenians. We have used our Hayg offices around the world, especially those in Beirut, Brussels, and in DC, to push for help for Armenians in Syria through political means. Coming closer to home, we live here within the eastern region of the United States. The ARF has divided the world into regions, and this is the eastern region of the Tashnaktutun. The first chapter here was the Lowell, Massachusetts chapter. It was established in 1894. We have often 15 Gomides in this region, and each one has its own Hayg office. Our family of organizations in the eastern region include the Homet Men with over 1,000 members and 10 chapters, the ARS with about 1,200 members, 33 chapters, 15 or so Saturday schools, the Hamaskain with about 300 members, the AYF with 600 members. We also have Camp Hayastan, where 400 kids go every year to learn about staying Armenian. We also have the Hayg newspaper, the oldest running Armenian newspaper anywhere. And we have the Armenian Weekly in English. The Hayg office in DC is our center for Hayg work in the region and internationally. Its main focus currently is on, of course, genocide recognition, but also finding ways to have Turkey repay for the lands that it took over from our churches. And in Detroit, with our family of organizations, with the ARS, the Homet Men, the Hamaskain, the AYF, and the church and the churches, we have been the leaders in keeping this community alive, in keeping this community Armenian. It has been a long time, and the work gets done behind the scenes. Most people don't realize it. Once in a while, an event like this brings us all together to think of it. But it is a lot of work, and it is not an easy work, and it's all volunteer work. And you know, we all, I'm sure over the years, make mistakes. But in the end, our success is an event like tonight's event. Our success is the fact that we have survived all these years in Detroit. We have been able to raise our kids here. We have many of us have still stayed here and wish to stay here. Ուրեմն այս իրգուն ես կանեին գոմես, մեր բոլոր համագիրներուն, մեր բոլոր ընկերներուն, մեր բոլոր միության անդամներուն, ասեմ այսօրվա համար կոնե ծեր վարձքը գդը։ Վաղը ամբողջովին բարբեր մանե, որ ետ սկսի, բայց կոնե այսօրվա համար բոլորին ծեր վարձքը գդը։ Եվ արիզ եկել ճիշտ հարմարը դա այս իրգուն, արիթով մնալ կմեցեք մեր վստահության գանալ։ Շնորհակալ։